Rare earths. What are they? Why do we need them? And why are so many countries fighting over them? Well, rare earths are a group of 17 different chemical elements that have unique properties which make them very useful for all sorts of technologies. But despite their name, they're actually quite common on Earth. In fact, most of them are more abundant than copper, and some are even more abundant than gold. The reason that they recalled rare earths is because it's relatively rare to find large deposits of them that are pure enough technologies. And these technologies include pretty much any modern electronics like smartphones, laptops, and LED, but they're especially important for things like fiber optic cables, lasers, nuclear weapons, electric vehicles, and solar panels. Some of the most important rare earths include neodymium, praseodymium. Now, these materials are referred to as rare earths because each element is fairly uncommon when considered individually. However, when considered together, they're not actually that rare. The problem is that often they occur together with other minerals and rock formations, and therefore need to be separated out to be used. This process is expensive and requires significant energy. That means there are only a few companies in the world that produce them at scale. So why are these elements so important? Well, each one has its own individual properties, but generally speaking, rare earths are highly reactive metals. And by combining them with other materials, we can create alloys and compounds with unique, magnetic, conductive, and optical properties. For example, neodymium is used in high-power magnets that can withstand high temperatures, which is critical for things like electric motors and hybrid cars or turbines in wind farms. Dysprosium is used to increase the resistance of alloys to high temperatures, which makes it perfect for use in jet engine parts. And cerium is used as a catalyst to improve the efficiency of oil refining. Now, due to their high reactivity, rare earths also tend to be very stable under a variety of conditions, meaning that they can withstand extreme temperatures and pressures without breaking down, which makes them ideal for use in environments where other materials would simply melt or vaporize. Rare earths are also resistant to corrosion, which allows them to be used in environments where other metals would rust or degrade. This stability and corrosion resistance are particularly valuable in the aerospace industry, where weight reduction and reliability are critical. For example, alloys containing scandium and yttrium are used in jet engine components where high strength and heat resistance are essential. Additionally, rare earth elements such as lanthanum and cerium are used in the production of lighter and stronger titanium alloys for aircraft components. These properties also make rare earths useful in the chemical industry, where they can be used as catalysts for reactions that would otherwise be impossible to carry out. Given these unique and powerful properties, it's unsurprising that so many countries around the world are heavily reliant on them. The United States, for example, imports over 80% of the rare earths that it uses from China. Japan, South Korea, and the European Union are similarly dependent on China for their supplies of these materials. And even Australia, which produces the world's second largest supply of rare earths after China, still imports significant quantities from its northern neighbor. As you may have noticed, the world's leading consumer and producer of rare earths is China. So why does China control so much of the rare earth supply chain? Well, one reason is geology. China sits on top of the largest known deposits of rare earths in the world. Much of this is thanks to the country's unique geology, which has allowed for the formation of massive deposits of rare earth elements within its borders. Inner Mongolia, Jiangxi, and Guangdong are just a few of the provinces rich in these minerals. But while geology played a major role in creating these vast reserves, it was the foresight and planning of the Chinese government that turned them into a strategic asset. Since the late 1980s, China has invested heavily in developing its rare earth mining and processing industries. Today, China accounts for nearly 70% of global production of these elements. Most of the mining is done by state-owned enterprises, which are tightly controlled by the central government in Beijing. China's dominance in rare earth production gives it an important bargaining chip in international negotiations. This is because China is the world's largest producer and exporter of rare earths. It has the capacity to restrict or even cut off the supply of these vital materials to countries that it considers to be its rivals or adversaries. Now, in recent years, China has repeatedly threatened to cut off the supply of rare earths to countries that criticize its human rights record or its territorial claims in the South China Sea. Now, while China's threats to use rare earths as a political weapon have been widely reported, it is important to note that China has yet to actually cut off the supply of rare earths to any country. Nevertheless, the possibility that China could do so remains a concern for countries that rely on these materials, particularly those that are already facing economic or political challenges. The growing demand for rare earths is also driven by the increasing use of electric vehicles, which require large amounts of these elements for their batteries. As governments around the world impose stricter emission standards and offer incentives for buying electric vehicles, the demand for rare earths is expected to rise further. In fact, according to a report by the U.S. Geological Survey, the demand for rare earths is projected to increase by nearly 300% between 2022 and 2050, With such high demand, it is clear that rare earths will play an increasingly important role in the global economy in the years to come. And it's not just electric vehicles that are driving this demand. Many other industries, including renewable energy, telecommunications, and defense, are also heavily reliant on rare earths. In particular, the production of solar panels, wind turbines, and fiber optic cables requires large amounts of these elements. As countries around the world transition to cleaner sources of energy and improve their telecommunications infrastructure, the demand for rare earths will continue to grow. While China currently dominates the supply of rare earths, other countries are working to reduce their reliance on China and develop their own domestic sources of these materials. For example, the United States, Canada, Australia, and India have all announced plans to increase their production of rare earths in order to reduce their dependence on China. The US, for instance, has announced plans to invest billions of dollars in order to build up its rare earth mining and processing industry. And Canada is investing heavily in developing its rare earth mining sector, which is currently in its infancy. In addition to reducing their reliance on China, countries are also exploring ways to recycle rare earths from electronic waste and other sources. Recycling these materials is not only environmentally friendly, but it can also help countries reduce their dependence on mining and reduce the risk of supply chain disruptions. Despite the challenges involved in recycling rare earths, several companies and research institutions around the world are working to develop new methods for doing so. So while it is clear that rare earths will continue to play an important role in the global economy, it is also clear that countries are taking steps to reduce their reliance on China and develop more sustainable and secure sources of these materials. As the demand for rare earths continues to grow, we can expect to see more innovation and competition in the rare earth market. And as countries develop new technologies to mine, process, and recycle rare earths more efficiently, we may see the importance of China's monopoly over these materials decline in the years to come. But what do you think? Is China's control of the rare earths market a cause for concern? Or is it simply a reflection of the country's superior geology and technology? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this video, please be sure to subscribe and hit the bell icon to stay up to date on our latest content. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.